transforming into restricted areas or containment zones. Like Heterotopia Principle 2 is working there. They were presented as, even the hospitals in general or the quarantine homes, they were presented as isolated islands or the heterotopia of crisis. These places will act as continuations or reflections of everyday social space, but yet they were distinct from it in terms of their function. They are paradoxically bounded but permeable spaces. Everyone is not permitted to enter so they are paradoxically bounded space, bounded and permeable space. So when you are tested positive, you have to go for a quarantine place. Quarantine. So these spaces function as disciplinary sites as well. Like in a panopticon, you have this, of course, a heterotopia and a panopticon, or it's both a different concept. Still, these heterotopias of quarantine homes function as disciplinary sites. During that time, during the initial phase of lockdown, you would dare not go outside. I still remember that two boys who went out to buy a banana. They were actually charged by the police. But just imagine the quarantine or the lockdown of these days. Everyone is outside. No one really wants to get inside. So that is another whole idea. Now, the whole idea of public and private spaces got blurred up with the introduction of containment zones, or in the pandemic era. The spaces were subverted, where each individual created a private space within the public space using the face shield or mask, or so maintaining social distances. Even the privacy of one's own home has changed, or I would say there was a revolution that happened. A revolutionary change that happened within everyone's home. Everyone maintained a particular hygiene or particular social distance, created a certain heterotopic spaces within one's own home. So that is the heterotopia of containment zones. And now coming to another area, that is heterotopia of digital spaces, or digital spaces as other spaces. Now these spaces are these unnatural worlds express agency and independence to its users. For example, take the example of PUBG. So interestingly, it was now that I actually understood that PUBG is an abbreviation. We have its full form here, which is Players Unknown Battleground. So the example of PUBG, in which the players parachute onto an island and they scavenge for weapons and equipments to fight. So that game space can be considered as an other space, or where you possess another self of yours. Or even the playstations at certain malls can be considered as these other spaces of heterotopia. And another digital space of heterotopia, very common space is the social media sites like blogs or YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. All social media sites act as heterotopia. These digital spaces in a way provide forums where the identity, space, or authenticity, or even realness or reality is invoked or reimagined in ways that speaks back to the limitations and oppression experienced in offline communities. For example, queer communities that are operating online, or Black communities that are operating online. These are spaces that gives them a space to exhibit their other self, or in a way their true self, or exhibit a self that is otherwise prohibited in a normal world or a normal or offline community. Take for example, I would like to give an example from the film Sudhi Vatmikam, where the character of Jayasuriya is an otherwise an introvert person. He is not very talkative to straight. And outside, like he gets this problem of speaking when a stranger approaches him. So, but in his blogs or through his blogs, he has really exposed or projected his real self to the society. Or and take the cases of the empty number of profiles in Instagrams or Facebook, your curious bios that are available in Instagram profiles, like first born or first cry on November 2nd, തൃശ്ശൂർക്കാരി, ഡാഡീസ് ക്യൂൺ, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ബയോകൾ, and even the timeline, Facebook or Instagram timeline, uh, they are spaces where you would project a self that you actually wanted others to see, but you are you are afraid to do so in an offline space. So, such is the digital, heterotopia of digital spaces. And then coming to the, when another point that I would like to elicit in these digital spaces is the idea of netizen journalism, or YouTube or Facebook live videos that you would otherwise dare to say in public, to an open, real open community, open group of people. So those are heterotopia of digital spaces where you exhibit another self. So coming to the second part of my talk, that is heterotopia of literature. Now you see that this idea of heterotopia has significant impact on literature, especially on science fiction, fantasy, or other speculative genres. So all sort of performances can be termed as heterotopias. And even Foucault, he conceives theater as a mediation between two spaces. You have the real space here, and you have the virtual space out there, or virtual space on this on stage. So a physical stage is a heterotopia in that the visual space is transient. It lasts when the play closes. So it is a heterotopia of heterotopia that juxtaposes in a real space multiple other spaces, often incompatible, like the principle 4 of heterotopia according to Foucault. So the heterotopias of setting in place of Amiri Baraka, this constitute a chapter in my thesis. Heterotopias of setting the place of Amiri Baraka. So his first play is Rachman, which is a very familiar play to everyone here. The play was produced in 1964. The play is set in a subway train. So the whole stage turns to a subway train, or the director brings in a train to the stage, onto the stage. So the subway, like the ship that I mentioned earlier, it connects two spaces of an anchoring and letting entrances and exits. So the whole process, like the whole journey represents a process of subjectification of the individuals, of the two characters, Clay and Lula. The whole journey that starts right from the point an individual boards the train, right from the point in the play, Lula boards the train, and it continues throughout the journey and ends with his or her exit as a subject. So in the play, when Lula enters the train and she starts her dialogue, conversation with Clay, and you say that on every point, Lula is bringing out the subject out of Clay. So after the end, after the whole journey, you see a defunct Clay. but still he exit as a subject. So the whole space creates an illusory space also by never coming out of the darkness. So the train never comes out of the darkness. It moves mysteriously in the underground. Baraka himself uses this phrase in the direction, in the script. The train that, the subway that moves mysteriously in the underground. It creates an illusory space, a heterotopia of illusion. And coming to other second play, that is Slave Ship, a historical pageant. The whole play is set in a slave ship. So Baraka is one person who has revolutionized this stage by using these kinds of exotic setting. So the play Slave Ship, a historical pageant, was set in a slave ship. A slave ship, you might have known, like it is a ship that carries slaves. There are underground spaces in the ship where the captives or the slaves who were captured from the African shores were chained. They were chained, and the whole area is segmented. They cannot see each other. They are chained there in all those unhygienic conditions. So the whole play is set in a slave ship, and a slave ship which showing this underground area and the upper deck. So a slave ship voyages through chartered oceans. The ship has triple function, like it carries gold and other merchandise to one shore, and in turn takes the captures the slaves from there, and it goes to another island or it goes to another shore where these slaves are sold. Like you might have heard of middle passages. Now, the whole stage space of the play, the setting of the play integrates three spaces, mainly a slave ship and a plantation space where these African slaves who were transformed as English slaves now, who were auctioned and became English slaves, they work in this plantation, and to a church space. So these three spaces are juxtaposed to each other in this single stage. And very controversial play of Amiri Baraka is Toilet, the play that was banned in America and in several other places. You cannot even take a YouTube screening of, YouTube video of this play because everything is banned because of its highly, what to say, language, and the language that was used in the play, which is, because of the language, play was banned. So coming to the setting of the play, the whole play was set in a toilet. So Baraka or his director during the production of the play turned the stage space into a toilet in its all sense. Even you have it is said that from the reports back then, it is said that the place really smelled of urine. It was really stingy to sit there. So the whole play is set in a high school lavatory where how it acts as a heterotopia, where black boys, they subvert the dominant racial order by physically assaulting a white boy, Chrysalis, for writing a love letter to their black friend, Ray Foods. So it is also a heterotopia of crisis. The toilet acts as a heterotopia of crisis where the boys perform their rites of passage, like their passage or their transformation from adolescence to adulthood happens in this toilet. Even the characters of Ray and Chrysalis. Ray is a black boy and Chrysalis is a white boy. They express their sexualities while inside the toilet. They express their homosexual liking for each other while inside the toilet. So everything happens. the toilet becomes a heterotopia of crisis. The toilet becomes a heterotopia of deviation. Uh, by subverting these things, these racial orders, by presenting all these things. Another play is a Black Mass. I think this is the last play that I'm dealing with in this uh, presentation. A Black Mass, which was set in a laboratory where you have three black magicians. They are making some potion to destroy time that was created accidentally by one of these scientists. So the whole play subverts this racial order, inverts the racial order by following the actually reinventing the myth or that the blacks created the white race. So while in the laboratory, one of the magicians called Jacob, he accidentally creates a creature, a beast, which is a white thing, which represents the whiteness. And the whiteness is, throughout the play, whiteness is equated to infertility or social aberration. Whiteness is uh, considered as an ugly thing, where the beast drooling all over the stage, and even black is considered as a fertile thing, a pure thing, by inverting the hegemonic discourse regarding race, regarding blackness and whiteness. So that space, stage space, and speaking of a physical setting or the stage space, act as a heterotopia. So these are the uh, literary uh, examples of heterotopia that I have selected to present. So other related areas, I mean, heterotopia is such a vast area, vast concept. So other related areas are heterotopia and dystopia. Both are very distinct concept. Again, you have this idea of panopticon. You have this idea of carceral archipelago, uh, presented by Foucault. You have heterotopia and subaltern studies, like these people of subaltern area, marginalized uh, people or people who dwell on the margins, peripheries of society. Heterotopia and arts, like the installations. Binale, every Binale is actually a heterotopic space. Heterotopia and architecture. Originally, this lecture was given to a group of architects, and what we have is a textual representation of what Foucault wanted to convey. Actually, heterotopia is related to architecture, and critics say that heterotopia is it was only later that heterotopia and literature, or heterotopia and criticism, or heterotopia and the space around us became connected. It was originally connected to the field of architecture. And again, heterotopia and climate crisis. I just serve through these topics or related areas that can be elaborated to further thesis. Like, so that's my presentation on heterotopia. I know that it was a very, I mean, I presented in a very hurried manner. I really wanted to include a number of slides, a number of points into this presentation, but when I just rehearsed the presentation, I understood that I was actually devouring time. So I limited my whole presentation to these few slides. I hope I conveyed what I really wanted to say. Thank you for your patience listening.
Thank you, Anju. It was really interesting to hear about space and its cultural and literary significance. Now I invite Preetha ma'am to share her views on the talk and about the lecture. Over to you, ma'am.
Um, I think somebody could ask some, maybe you have anything to ask or some discussions.
So now the space is open for discussion. The participants can ask their questions or they can type it as messages. We will read it out. Uh, it will be very engaging and enjoyable if you all ask questions, and you can switch on your videos too.
Before that,
Hello?
am I still presenting my screen?
No.
No one.
Okay, thank
No,
you.
it's not there now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Anju. So actually, it was very, very explanatory and interesting presentation. We could go deep into variant aspects of the concept of heterotopia, and very knowledgeable presentation. Thank you, Anju. And I don't want to ask a question, but it's just a point like, can a heterotopia or a concept of heterotopia can change its meaning through history? I think it is yes. Can it changing like a heterotopia? In my observation, I can say like a heterotopia can change its meaning, like for example, the pawn theaters in New York, like uh, in Times Square in New York. Following the new regulations governing the district, the traditional stomping grounds for the sex industry in New York have been transformed into Disney entertainment centers for the whole community. From being a space that reflected the surrounding society through the investments of sexuality, of perversity, as such, the area is being turned into a heterotopia of compensation, constituted by an over perfect representation of American middle class and working class ideals.
Definitely. I mean, the initial question was like this: do heterotopias change or they transform their function? Was that your question, Sridevi?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I mean, certainly heterotopias change their function. Even nowadays, there is a fluid, I mean, heterotopias are very fluid spaces these days. Like, just imagine the things that once you did in very private, I mean, in the privacy of your bedroom or in the privacy of your house, was done in a really public uh, platform these days, like posting something on YouTube, like these YouTube channels. You have
Yes.
these family YouTube channels where they display anything and everything that is related. I mean, that is not even means bothering to the other person. Uh, so they are, I mean, that's how heterotopias of home or heterotopia of your room has transformed its function uh, to a very public platform. Uh, did I answer your question,
Yes, Anju. Yeah,
or
it's
I
clear.
complicated you?
No, no, no. It's clear now.
Preetha ma'am, shall I call the next respondent? Preetha ma'am,
Yes.
shall I call the next respondent?
Yes, sure, sure.
Sridevi was
No
one of
problem.
our respondents. Okay,
Okay.
now I invite Masarati Babu
Hello,
to share her views.
hello,
Arati?
Anju. First
Okay.
of all, congratulations for that talk on heterotopia. I just want to point out, based on my reading of Discipline and Punishment Foucault's text, how space is related to discipline and gaze. As you already know about panopticism and how certain individuals are partitioned off in certain spaces. My observation is that Foucault sees space as something which is used to partition the unwanted or certain unwanted individuals from wanted individuals. For example, In panopticism, in the chapter Panopticism in Discipline and Punishment, he shows us how delinquents and criminals, they are partitioned off in a different space in separate rooms, and they are supervised or they are put under surveillance by a prison guard, by an officer. So this is actually, in a way, can we say that the idea of space by Foucault, which he has given, is also related to his other ideas such as discipline and punishment. Even in this book, Discipline and Punishment, he gives the example of the people affected by plague. How the people affected by plague in medieval times, how they are partitioned in different space from the rest of the healthy population. We see that there is an extensive disciplinary mechanism and given for them. They are partitioned in different spaces in different rooms. An officer comes every morning to take stock of the situation, record their symptoms, and also a guard is placed at the end of the housing colony to ensure that no sick person actually gets out. So, my observation being that the space as not only heterotopia but space as given by Foucault is related to his other ideas which he has theorized to, relating to discipline as well as power and disciplinary case. That is an observation which I wanted to make based on my reading of the text. Thank you, Anju.
Thank you, Aditi. Is there any other person who need to ask any questions? Or you can type it as message. The session is open for discussion. Let's see, ma'am.
Anju, thank you for a very elaborate presentation on heterotopic spaces. I just have one doubt. Uh, do you think that these heterotopic spaces will encourage writers to restore the mind and body?
Jida ma'am,
Yes, Anju.
I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Do you think that these heterotopic spaces will encourage people to restore their mind and body in any way?
I'm not actually sure of it. Like, I will have to look into it. Still, my view is that uh, heterotopia has certain other spaces. If you, you can actually create a physical space or where you can, like retirement homes, or like you have these all day, not all age homes, the concept of pagal veed.
Resettlement, like spaces where you have resettlements,
Yes.
spaces where you have refugee camps, some spaces like that.
Not refugee camps exactly. Refugee camps are, totally a different concept. I'm speaking of certain, the term is actually as such, pagal veed or tunnel, where the elderly people, they are not old age homes, where the elderly people a leisure period, because they are not actually included in the actual business of their own homes. So those such places act as a space that gives them a kind of consolation. So likewise, I mean, the writers can, I mean, of course, writers creates conceptual spaces. I mean, heterotopia as well, writing. I mean, they can also create physical spaces. I think I'm sure that I didn't answer to your question. I mean, my answer was not to your question, but I made it.
Yeah, somewhat you have answered. And do you think that some of these heterotropic spaces will create, as you said in Pagal Vida, it will create new friendships?
Sure,
Maybe they are away from their homes where they
sure,
cannot communicate with their own age.
sure. Yeah, retirement homes or these Pagalvida are actually heterotopy of crisis according to Foucault. They are heterotopy of crisis because the old age is considered as a critical period because you are actually, I mean, according to Foucault, or according to our common belief in our society, these old age people are considered as a defunct machines. I mean, they are not uh, considered as a very active participants in the uh, happenings around you, nor even in the happenings, I mean, on the functions or your gatherings. So these I mean, these elderly people consider such pagalvide or retirement homes as other spaces or spaces where they can actually become themselves.
Let me add one point to this
Yeah,
question
Hemachechi, I mean, your thesis
about
deals with these
about
things.
about all this that what gerontologists say is that old people, when they are in the company of other old people, they feel much secure, much accepted in society, much accepted in their own community than from the mainstream society. And one thing they say is that if an old individual goes to this retirement houses or to the community by his or her own wish, they feel it's something welcoming, something providing comfort. And if some other person, maybe some other agency, they goes to these retirement houses with external compulsion, it is a kind of it is a very scary experience for them. This is what so the space they create with their inner desire is different from what they do by external compulsion. This is what I this point is what I come across when I'm doing my research. Thank you.
That was an authoritative comment because I know Hemachechi was going through all these things, was surfing through all these things for the last 5 years.
Thank you, Anju, and thank you, Hema. Now, I was thinking whether we should start with a new idea of whether the St. Aloysius Research Center should think of starting a new home for all of us, maybe 10 years or 20 years
Maybe after
later.
my research,
So that all of us can share
I will surely need such a home.
that. Thank you.
I have
Thank
a
you,
doubt.
Jitaba.
Is this a heterotopia? Like we are having virtual spaces these
Yes,
days.
yes.
Sure, of course. I'm sure that everyone is not showing their own, I mean, true self in here. All digital spaces are heterotopia, heterotopic spaces. I mean, you have a totally different self projected here.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, just uh, imagine a research progress committee happening. I mean, that had happened those days, I mean, long back, long back in our seminar hall, and that was, I mean, that are happening these days in online. I mean, in Google Meet or Zoom. The function has changed.
So all the space has been taken over by this digital space, web conferencing and such things. and people are frightened whether this is going to be the new norm.
Yes,
It has to change, isn't it? That is also there.
I really wanted to
Uh,
change this. I mean,
you said
get
something about
outside of it.
the heteroscopic space in regarding some rituals in temples in Kollam. What was that?
Yeah, the Kottangulangara temple. The idea of cross dressing. The ritual is called Chamaya Vilakka. There you have men cross dressed as women. Even there are transgenders. I'm really afraid to use such terms like transgenders or trans. I mean, I mean, the men cross dress as women, and they take this lamp, and there is a procession to the temple. It is a ritual there. I mean, it is a uh, happening. Like it was very. I mean, I thought it was a very common knowledge. I mean, I really had heard a paper on this cross dressing, this idea of cross dressing in Kottangulangara temple at Kollam. I mean, there you have this heterotopia space, which subverts or inverts the normal gender or sexual order, even though they are not supposed. I mean, even the temple officials might have not. We had enjoyed our mind out of it, but today നമുക്ക് എന്തോ ഇനി പറ്റാത്ത പോലെ you are forced to apply some theory onto it. Like ടിൻടീനൊക്കെ അന്ന് നമ്മൾ എന്തൊരു സന്തോഷമായിട്ട് വായിച്ചിരുന്ന സാധനങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിരുന്നതൊക്കെയാണ്. ശുപ്പാണ്ടി. പക്ഷെ നൗഡേയ്സ് ശുപ്പാണ്ടി എല്ലാം ബോഡി ഷെയ്മിങ് ആണ്. Even Tintin is
We
against it.
became too critical.
But it gives some inner insight actually.
Sure.
Knowledge like that.
Yes,
Otherwise, you
sure.
just enjoy it in a very superficial manner.
Yeah, sure.
You can enjoy at the same time. You are able to see through
You are,
certain things.
yeah, yes.
Because
You
of
are
the
critically,
tools
you
were
mean,
used.
the whole perspective changed,
Yes.
actually. Even some YouTube channels have made you think I mean, the right way, which is the normal way. The whole perspective changed.
Is there any other questions that we need to discuss?
Anybody else who would like to share their ideas, something to contribute to this topic?
Heterotopia is such a vast area that I felt. I mean, you can actually do a research, a whole PhD on single topic like heterotopia. It was very difficult for me to confine it to 10 or 20 slides. I mean, when I was doing my chat. Area is again a small paragraph or a small part of it.
Okay.
And the
It's
spaces
not
of
even a
education.
chapter.
I mean, not
No,
even a
it's
chapter.
not
No,
even
no.
a chapter. Okay.
Thank you, Preetha MM.
The right examples and such things, and about how
Thank you,
now
ma'am.
the public places are confined into these pandemic era. I hope that is over. During the pandemic times, how all these public places were completely confined, and all access was restricted. And that way also the heterotopia spaces, that too comes into play, which is very much relevant in your topic. So that has also been done well. Even the education system, I think that would also be a very big, because you're all into it, isn't it? Classrooms and such things. So that is also a very big change, that too creates a heterotopic space, all these web conferencing and such things. Anju, you did a very good job, and you are confident about what you have done and what you are doing also. I think you're balancing your domestic life and your family, right?
I mean, I have a little baby of 2 months.
2 months. Oh,
Yeah, everything happened during my research tenure.
okay. But that's okay. You can come out fresh after everything. The baby would have grown a little. Your thesis would be submitted, and it'll be a new beginning for you, fresh.
Yeah, thank you, thank you,
Okay. Anyway, congratulations,
thank
Anju,
you.
for working so much with all these things. Because for women, it's always very, very difficult to go forward. To read, you want to read more, you want to increase your learning and such things, and I see that you're really interested in it. So, congratulations and all best wishes
Thank you,
in
ma'am.
your future endeavors. Not just a thesis, this is PhD is just a stepping stone. After that, you need to go higher and higher. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
wish
you.
you all the very best.
Thank you. I remember that you two are the people who, uh, for me, the first person, I mean, not the first person, Danya ma'am was always telling me to go for a PG in literature or a PhD or do something in literature. But I was not personally interested in literature as such. I really don't wanted to do an MA in literature. So even on my Viva, even on the day of my Viva, I was like, I will not continue this journey. I may go for some PG diploma in journalism or mass communication, and I'm going in. I mean, that is my way. So it was you that, I mean, the first person who told me that I would definitely see you somewhere doing research in the next 5 years.
I said that
Yeah.
for the Baiva. Okay.
So I mean,
Maybe you must have been really interested. and the way you were. What can you say? You seem to have some kind of
Yeah, I
inclination.
think you were quite interested in my thesis, I mean PG thesis. It was related to Chilappadigaram, the process of deification in Chilappadigaram. It was as a political construct. I mean, I don't know, maybe because of that, or I mean,
Yeah,
I felt like
of course, it is always a what can you say, a benchmark or something. You can judge how the student is going to fare.
and I cannot forget Danya ma'am. Danya miss I എപ്പോഴും പറയാ. I mean, even നമ്മുടെ ഒരു സ്വഭാവം കാണുമ്പോഴും പുള്ളിക്കാരി പറയും നീയൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയല്ലേ പഠിപ്പിക്കാനേ പോവുള്ളൂ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ PhD ചെയ്യാം.
She has influenced my daughter also.
Yeah, I
When
know. I
she
mean,
was,
we were batchmates, we were classmates. I mean,
yeah, she too
Parliament.
did a PG literature.
Anyway, look at the coincidence.
Yes.
You are examiners, and we are holding this program in memory of Danya. And you're
That's what.
visiting.
So
Okay.
many common factors coming
Yeah.
together. Another heteroscopic space.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So thank you, Preetha ma'am, and thank you, Betsy ma'am. അന്നത്തെ അറിയാണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞതാണെങ്കിലും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കാതെ പറഞ്ഞു. But back then I was quite sure I will not go for a PhD. I was pretty sure that I will not go for a PhD because I am not. I'm a restive kind of person. I cannot research on a particular topic for my whole life. I cannot devote my entire life for a particular topic. But I ended up here. Yeah, now this is interesting. The avenue of research is actually good. Jeeta ma'am, are you telling something?
Pardon?
Jeeta ma'am, I felt that I was interrupting her.
No.
Jeeta ma'am, are you asking something? Okay. Thank you, Preetha ma'am, for your nice words. It was really an interesting lecture day. We all, through space, through Heterotopia, we also had an interesting session, enjoyable session here. And I think if there are no more questions or points to discuss, we can wind up the session. Let's see, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Also getting late into the night.
Yes. First of all, I thank our principal, Dr. Chakoji, for allowing us this platform to discuss on various interesting topics and enriching our knowledge. Then I thank our chair, Preetha ma'am, for reviewing and presenting her views on heterotopia and space. Then I thank HOD and my research guide Betsy ma'am for providing such platforms for scholars to impart their knowledge and engage in literary and scholarly discussions. And I thank all the research scholars and the audience and the respondents and the research guides and faculties of the department who patiently listened and who were the part and parcel of this event. Thank you all. Thank you. And a very good night. Thank you very much. We can meet again next week on Thursday with another new topic. Thank you all. See you all.
I again thank the college principal, Betsy, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Preetha, and coming at this particular time and also encouraging every one of us and enlightening us. Okay, actually. And also that there is this sort of a